Alright, hi guys, welcome to week 3. I want to give a special thank you guys, especially to your class. You guys have been amazing about turning in assignments and everything, and emailing me and letting me know things. So thank you so much, that makes my job a lot easier. So this is week 3, so we are going to have a test at the end of this week. Normally, everything is due on Friday at midnight, but I'm going to extend the deadline to Saturday at midnight instead. Mainly because, not only just because of the holiday being a Monday, but also it's the first test, so I assume that it might take a little bit of time to get in the groove of things. This is how I'm going to run pretty much every test, minus the final, of course, until class is over. So hopefully this should start getting us into the routine of the test. I will have a video covering more about that later on. So let's go ahead and turn to your books and get started. So we are going to be in Unit 3 on page 41. This week we're going to be talking about major 5-finger patterns. So you guys have done just a lot of work trying to read notes and getting your fingers on the piano and everything like that. So now we're going to talk about all the patterns that you can see. So you have 5 fingers and they work really well in certain spots. So if you can turn to the bottom of the page, I'm going to over, you can see they talk about major 5-finger patterns right here. This is the basis for the beginning of scales, essentially. So if I put my finger on C, like they show in that little keyboard right at the bottom of the page, there's a pattern of whole steps and half steps. Okay, so let's review over whole steps and half steps very quickly before we go on to this. A whole step, you're going to go from a white note to a white note, or black note to a black note, unless it's between B and C and E and F, and then you're going to have to skip. But basically you want to go up one full letter name, and then that is your whole step. A half step is going to be these white notes right here. Will be the only exception, but most of the time it's going to be white note to a black note, or black note to a white note. Okay? Alright, so if we take a look that keyboard, our 5-finger pattern is going to be C, and then a whole step up to D, whole step up to E, and then we do a half step up to F, and a whole step up to G. Okay? Now, we have just enough fingers for this, thank God. So, we start with our thumb on C if we're in our right hand, and then each finger has its own specific key. 2 on D, 3 on E, 4 on F, and 5 on G, okay? Same thing in the left hand, it's just the fingering is obviously reversed. So 5 on C, 4 on D, 3 on E, 2 on F, and 1 on G, okay? Let's go ahead and put your hands, you can spread them out if you'd like, as long as they're in the right notes, and play that from tonic all the way up to dominant. So we've got our C's, D, very top, okay? Good. So now basically what we're going to be doing here the next few pages is taking that and moving that up and down and transposing, okay? Most important thing to know, your first note is your tonic. Your last note, your 5th note, is your dominant, okay? So let's go over to page 42. We are going to look up at the top really quickly. If it helps you to write out all of the notes on all of those keyboards, then I'd say go ahead and do it. I personally, for me, it helps me to actually go through and play, and then it makes a little bit more sense. But if it helps for you to have a visual guide, I would suggest doing that, okay? Alright, so let's go over, we're going to skip that bottom one and go over to talk about major triads. So a chord, you guys should all at least at some point have heard of this. A chord is made up of 3 notes, or triad is made up of 3 notes rather. You're going to have the root, so if we're in C major, that's C. The 3rd, so that's E. And then the 5th above that. And that right there is going to be a C major chord, okay? Same thing with the left hand, you can do that. The fingering for each of those should be 3 on E, and then your respective pinkies and thumbs on the right notes, okay? Alright, so now let's look at the next example, so 2-2. We're going to play through this, and then we're going to talk about how to transpose it. But let's sight read through this first. Put your fingers right back where they were, okay? You should not be moving at any time until we get to the block chord in measure 3, okay? So let's take this in a pretty slow tempo, and I'm going to count off, but then I'm going to name notes as we go up and down, okay? All right, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C, 2, E, G, E, C. Good, and then we play the block chord all together, okay? So they lay it out pretty easy for you. You have the 5-finger pattern, broken chord, and a block chord, okay? So now what we're going to do, check really quickly, we're going to do this on just white notes for a couple of times, and then it should be pretty evident to you guys to keep continuing that up and upward, okay? All right, so now we're going to slide up to the next white note, so we're going to go to D. Now, when we think about major, we have to think, okay, we need whole step, whole step, whole step, and then a half step, and a whole step at the very top. So if we put an F sharp in there right there, we have a whole step between E and F sharp, and then we have a half step between F sharp and G sharp. So that is our D major right there, okay? You should also know that from key signatures as well, but that's just a quick review, okay? All right, let's go ahead and do the same exact thing. It's going to be the same pattern: up, down, broken chord, and block chord, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and D, E, F sharp, G, A, G, F sharp, E, D, F sharp, A, F sharp, D, and then block chord at the end, okay? It's a little bit weird if you're looking at the pattern and you're calling out what that is not the right note. It's even kind of hard for my brain to process at this point. So that's a really good challenge. This is essentially what transposition is. So as you get more assignments and things, see if you can do that every once in a while. It will not only make the piece seem easier, but it's good practice too, because you'll be doing that for a long time. Okay? So now we're going to scoot up and do that with the next 2 chords, and then I'll let you finish that on your own, and we're going to go on. Okay? So let's go up to E major right here. So with E major, we have to have a whole step on the first step. So we have to go E to F sharp, then another whole step, so F to G sharp, and then we have to have a half step after that. So we have to go G sharp up to A, and then A up to B is a whole step as well, okay? Let's do that with this, and I'll call out notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, A, G sharp, F sharp, E, G sharp, B, G sharp, E, 2, and then all together. Okay, one more, and I'm not going to say too much this time, spelling out what notes we need to use at the beginning. So we're going to move up to F major. So F to G is a whole step, so that's good. G to A is a whole step, that's good. Then we have to have a half step, so we have to go A up to B flat, and then after that, a whole step, okay? All right, so let's do F major. I won't call out notes. I want you to call out notes as you play it with me right now, okay? All right, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, I want you guys to keep repeating this process until you get up to where it says at the very end. You're going to go from C to C. So the next 3 chords that you're going to have are G, A, and B. Okay? All right.